understand the concept of active and passive voice with auxiliary verb. So first, let us discuss how to convert active voice with auxiliary verb into passive voice with auxiliary verb. Before moving ahead, let us first discuss what are auxiliary verbs. Now, another name for auxiliary verb is modals. Now, these verbs are basically used in order to enhance the grammatical or the functional area of the clause in which they are used. They basically focus on the emphasis, modality, the tense, or the voice of the sentence. So, some examples of auxiliary verbs are, now auxiliary verbs are also referred to as modals. An example of modals are will, would, shall, should, may, might, can, could, ought. So these are some of the examples of auxiliary verbs, or we can say modals. Now, first, if we have to convert an active voice into passive voice, we first need to make sure that the sentence is in active form. So first, let us discuss the rule in order to find out if the given sentence is in active form with auxiliary verb. So, for active speech, the rule can be to find with an auxiliary verb is, we know that our sentence begins with a subject plus a modal plus verb in first form followed by my object. So this is the rule to find out if my sentence is in active form with an auxiliary verb. So example of this can be, Rohan will collect the tickets. Now, will, I know, is my modal. Rohan is my subject. Collect is my verb in first form. And ticket is the object. So, I know that the sentence matches with the rule, and I'm sure that now this sentence is in my active form and it is with the auxiliary verb. Now I have to convert this active form into passive. So my active sentence will now be converted to passive. So for passive, the rule is, we know that a sentence begins with a subject always. So I will say subject plus a modal plus be plus verb in third form. Always make sure that for passive voice the verb is always in third form. The verb can never be in first form when we are making a sentence in passive form. Plus by plus the object. So now this is the rule for active speech and this is the rule for passive. So for active form we have this, and for passive the rule is this. Now always remember this one point, that whatever is my subject in active sentence, that subject changes to object when I am converting from active voice to passive voice. And the object of my active voice will be the subject for the passive voice. Now, which means that object of my active is ticket. Now, ticket will be the subject for my passive. So, my sentence will begin with the tickets. So, I will say the tickets. The modal will remain the same. Modal is will. The tickets will be. The third form for collect is collected. So I will say collected by, and now my subject of active will become the object for passive, and the subject is Rohan. Rohan will now become my object. So by Rohan. So this is how I have converted my sentence which was in active voice with auxiliary verb to passive with auxiliary verb. Now let us understand this concept with another example. Now in earlier sentence we made use of the modal will. Now in next sentence let us consider the example like my sister can cook food. My sister can cook food. Now my sister over here is my subject according to the rule that we have discussed. Can over here is my modal. Cook over here is my first form of verb. And food over here is my object. So according to the rule is subject plus modal plus first form of verb and the object. So my rule completely fixed on this sentence. So I know that this is my active form of sentence. Right? So this is my active voice. Now active I need to convert to passive voice. For passive the object I said will be the subject. So now my sentence will begin with food. So I will say food plus modal. Modal is can, followed by be. Now first form of verb gets changed to the third form of verb. So I say cooked by, which is a symbolizing effect for passive voice. And my sister is a subject which now changes to object. My sister. So this is my passive voice. Passive voice with auxiliary verb. Active voice with auxiliary verb. Another example can be the principal might distribute sweets. The principal might distribute sweets. Might over here is again my modal. I say the principal might distribute sweet. Distribute is my first form of verb. The principal over here is my subject. And sweets is the object. I want to convert my active voice into passive voice with auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb is the modal. Here the modal is might. I say sweets might be distributed by the principal. So the subject of my active voice changes to the object of in passive, and the object of the active voice changes to the subject in passive. So in this video, we discussed about active and passive voice with auxiliary verb, and then we also understood how to convert an active voice with auxiliary verb to passive voice with auxiliary verb.